For me, there's a simple rule in politics. Never, ever be surprised by what happens in politics.
The face of truth is open. The eyes of truth are bright. The lips of truth are ever closed. The head of truth is upright. The breast of truth stands forward. The gaze of truth is straight. Truth has neither fear nor doubt. Truth has patience to wait. The words of truth are touching. The voice of truth is deep. The law of truth is simple. All you sow, you reap. The soul of truth is flaming. The heart of truth is warm. The mind of truth is clear and firm through rain and storm. Facts are only its shadow. Truth stands above all sin. Great be the battle of life. Truth in the end shall win. The image of truth is the cross. Wisdom's message is its rod. The sign of truth is Christ, and the soul of truth is God. Life of truth is eternal. Immortal is its past. Power of truth shall endure. Truth shall hold to the last.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living room. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
More concerns over that deal between the government of St. Lucia and the GPH involving our ports being leased. Talking about the Castries and the Soufriere ports. Hello everyone. Welcome to another edition of the world's most monitored talk show, and that is NewsSpin on Power 97.9 FM. The broadcast is also on the NewsSpin Facebook page as well as the NewsSpin YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe. Press that subscribe button. And of course, you can call a little bit later at 452-2979, 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026, 716-2026. And we'll be going through some of your comments in the chat room. Amanda will be doing that. And I have some of your WhatsApp messages from about Thursday and Friday. I don't want you to believe I'm taking you for granted by not reading them. It's just that sometimes we give priority to the calls. So I'll be going through as many of your messages as possible. We trust that you had yourself an enjoyable weekend. And of course, we are back at it, focusing on those issues that are of importance to you. And I'm sure that you will be contributing and leading us in a particular direction when you deem that fit or necessary, because it's all about you and those issues that you want the authorities to highlight so that we could have a better St. Lucia, irrespective of the challenges we continue to confront and our limitations. GPH. That deal that went down, and you would have heard from the MP for Soufriere Jacques making reference to a secret deal, have a meeting behind closed doors. I thought that this would have been something of the past, a bygone era, because we're always talking about when we deem it appropriate and convenient at that to talk about being transparent and sharing critical information with the people of this country. Those people who are owed an explanation every time they request it. And they should be kept in the loop. They should not be kept in darkness regarding decisions that are taken on their behalf. So last evening on the DBS television, Jacinta Anius-Lee interviewed St. Lucia's premier businessman, who like to describe him as Sir Michael Chastanet, about his humble beginnings, the challenges he would have confronted, and how along the way those were surmounted to cause him to be, without any doubt, an exceptional individual, an individual who has made an unquantifiable contribution to the development of this country, whether you like him or not. And so towards the end of that over-hour-long exchange, he focused a little bit on the GPH deal. And not much is being said about it. If it's not coming from certain sections of the society, just a sprinkling of individuals, or the opposition, we have not heard from key interest groups in this country, and not necessarily certain NGOs in our country, but those we believe that automatically they should be making certain observations. And when we say that we deplore the fact that certain entities are not speaking on critical issues in the country, let me issue this proviso to indicate that we are not saying that you have to say things that are pleasing to anyone in this country, things that are palatable. No, we just want your take on it for the record, for posterity. When this particular issue was being discussed, when this decision was taken by the government of St. Lucia in the name of the people of this country, we heard from certain interest groups. We heard from the St. Lucia Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture, because this would affect them one way or the other. We also heard from the St. Lucia National Trust, among others. Now, I know some bright individual would say, but this does not have anything to do with the St. Lucia National Trust, and make reference to the legislation which set up the entity in the first place and tell me all about its mandate. But who are the people who are members of the trust? Who are the people who are managing the affairs of that institution? They are St. Lucians. And one way or the other, decisions that are taken by the government, whether it involves the national security of the state or the leasing of its ports, in the first instance for 30 years, with an option to extend that lease by another 10 years, it would have implications for the members of the trust, among other institutions. Let us listen to Sir Michael Chastanet. And by the way, interesting enough, this program, which was aired on DBS television last evening, if you go on the DBS website, the program is posted there, and you could always, at your leisure, watch and listen to the exchange between the interviewee and the interviewer. And so far, it is at about 80,000 people. 80,000 people have logged on, or it has 80,000 views. And that is quite impressive from last evening to today. 80,000K. So let's listen to Sir Michael Chastanet on the GPH and St. Lucia Ports deal.
I see them giving away our patrimony, a port, something we fight for that should never be given, something that produces, that has a good income. It's, this is total madness. And nobody is saying anything. And that is very, very, very hurtful. Very hurtful. I see them giving away our patrimony, a port, something we fight for that should never be given, something that produces, that has a good income. It's, this is total madness. And nobody is saying anything. And that is very, very, very hurtful. Very hurtful.
Calls it madness. He says it's very, very hurtful. For a moment there, aren't you just aching to find yourself in a position where the likes of Sir John Compton would still be alive, and also the likes of a George Odlum? What would the response be with regard to the decision by the St. Lucia government to lease our ports, Castries Port and the Soufrière Port? And what is even more fascinating is that we have heard, and I have not heard any denial or disputation from the government of St. Lucia as to whether, as part of the deal, they have agreed that the Vieux-Fort port will be left untouched. I've never heard any kind of corroboration or denial from the government on this. But how do you think those people would have reacted? Deceased individuals like George Odlum and John Compton. A lot of people who are alive today, dispassionate individuals, whether supporters of the SLP or the UWP, they are not speaking out. They are not saying anything. So we really do not know how, for example, Sir Calix George Sr. feels about the leasing of our ports. Maybe if he's listening to this broadcast today, he can call. He normally calls Newsmaker Live. He can call today. Let me hear what he has to say about it. What is his position? Because this seems to be a travesty. Something which should not have been done. And if you were to narrow it to, let's say, a decision taken by an individual who owns a port, and that port could have been expanded, certain changes could have been made, etc., and that person can access funding from one of the financial institutions in St. Lucia. But instead, he takes the easy way out. He lacks ambition, and therefore, he leases the port to somebody else. And that person is more energetic, forward-thinking, a visionary, decides to take a loan from a local interest and expand, and then the returns to the original owner can be considered as meager. Provide you with a lease for some 30 years with an option to expand for 10 years. This individual, the original owner of the port, how would your family see you? Particularly your offsprings and maybe siblings. I just thought I should narrow it to that extent. Because the government's defense is that the loan, it has decided that it will not burden the St. Lucia Air and Seaports Authority with a loan. But it could have guaranteed the loan on behalf of SLASPA. After all, it has guaranteed, a loan of some $80 million on behalf of the National Lotteries Authority, so that our various sporting facilities in St. Lucia can be rehabilitated and so on. Also, I wonder if certain prime ministers in the region would do like their counterpart in St. Lucia and lease their ports. So you heard from the father. Let's hear from the son, because Alain Chastanet, who is the political leader of the United Workers' Party, spoke on that same issue last week during a press conference.
Is my clear understanding, and I have evidence to substantiate that the Ministry of Finance, technical staff, advised the government not to do the deal with GPH. And that is when it was at $6.50. That's how much we were collecting before, $6.50. $1.50 was going to solid waste, $2.50 was going to SLASPA, and $2.50 was going to the government of St. Lucia. In fact, the Ministry of Finance said it would be better for the government of St. Lucia to forego its $2.50 and allow SLASPA to get $5, because with the $5, they can more than cover the cost of the loan, of the $18 million loan, and they would have had enough money over the years to do the development themselves. And let's understand, it is SLASPA who built Point Seraphin. It is the government of St. Lucia who built the Vendors Arcade. It is SLASPA who built Place Carnage. So there was nothing that's in this proposal that the government of St. Lucia, either through SLASPA or a different entity, has not done themselves. Not a capacity. So the recent announcement that the head tax in January went from $6.50 to $12.50, where $10 now is going to go to GPH, $1 is going to the government of St. Lucia, and $1.50 is going to go to solid waste, is horrifying and reveals the scam and the level of the corruption that has taken place. Why on earth, if the government of St. Lucia was prepared to go to $12.50, so imagine in that $12.50, the $1.50 for solid waste, government of St. Lucia could have still gotten its $2.50, and SLASPA would have gotten $9. So you're talking about in 40 years' time, over $400 million US. And to Minister Joseph's point, they could have done everything, including they could have built the cruise ship terminal in View Fort. What was the necessity? Why would you have given away all of this money?
The leader of the parliamentary opposition speaking last week during a press conference of his party, Mr. Alan Chastanet. Let me hear from you right now via your calls at 452-2979, 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026, 716-2026. Let me see if I have a WhatsApp message. It reads there, didn't they say the Cabot deal was the selling of our patrimony? Which is worse. Where are the concerned citizens? Another WhatsApp message, and the person says via WhatsApp, Tim, what a blatant case of news situation control by the legal counsel for Trinidad and Tobago, former Commissioner Earl Christopher. We're hoping that a similar occurrence does not replicate in our tiny island of St. Lucia, whereby the Trinidad and Tobago Bar Association seems to be utilizing a bit of lawyerism to control all information about such allegations from leaking out to the public and the press at hand. We have a call online. Let's take that call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You are on the air. Hello. Yes, good afternoon to you, caller.
Good afternoon, Tim.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon
to your listeners.
Good afternoon.
Tim, I intended to call you on a different subject, but hearing someone else speak about this GPH, what I call the steal of the century, you know, it causes me, every time I hear this GPH thing, it gets even more and more egregious. Tim, one has to think that we're not only talking about Port Castries, we're also talking about Port Soufrière. And what gets me sometimes is the apologists, the people who will call, because of maybe their political allegiance, that they might be, you know, favor pro the government. And there's nothing wrong with being pro the government. I mean, this is a democracy. But they would try to explain away the huge blunder made by our government by drawing some sort of comparison to the DSH arrangement. And so let me try and clear this up a little bit, Tim. We have a port, and I'm using the word had in past tense. We had a port because it's no longer being managed by us. It's being managed by a foreign entity. And one of the first things I would like to point out is the hypocrisy of this Labour Party government, because they were the ones who coined the phrase friends, family, and foreigners, to give St. Lucians the impression that the previous UWP administration led by Alan Chastanet was a government that gave favor, curried favor, gave favor to their friends, family, and to foreigners. See, and it was easy for St. Lucians to believe that because, Alan Chastanet having what they call a little koole wayayay. So they felt that, he would couple with the people with koole wayayay just like him. And here we are. In the case of DSH, the arrangement was for the actual location, the site of the horse racing track, that the government leased to DSH at $1 an acre for 99 years, right? $1 an acre. However, the other lands that were purchased by the DSH group was purchased at $30,000 per acre. $30,000 per acre. Now, Tim, these were barren lands. There was hardly any economic activity taking place on these lands. However, when we compare it to the ports, our cruise port, that is, from the formation of SLASPA about 40 years ago, SLASPA is one of the very few government agencies that has a balance sheet that's in the black. Most government agencies siphon and just suck away the resources, the taxpayers' dollars of the country, without even producing a commensurate return, positive return. However, in the case of SLASPA, SLASPA ran a positive balance sheet. They actually placed money in the consolidated funds as well, at the same time, simultaneously running the operations of their organization, managing the airport and our ports. So we gave away to this foreign company called GPH something that was already working. In 2019, 790,000+ cruise ship visitors visited St. Lucia. So this was income we had of our own efforts, our own work. We were able to generate that amount of business. And we were collecting $6.50 for 790,000 people. So now, you know what number we have this year, Tim? They haven't put it out yet, but it's about just over 800,000. So they may have surpassed the 2019 figure 5 years later. But they are now going to collect $10 on numbers that, maybe on 12,000, they're only responsible. I'm not saying they're responsible. The things have been growing because St. Lucia has been, in terms of cruise tourism, we have not been able to surpass, for the past 4 years, we were not able to surpass our figures, pre-COVID figures of 2019. In comparison, over 13 other tourism destinations in the Caribbean have done so. We were performing below the average in the Caribbean. So we're not doing that. While the guys are trying to make us believe that we're doing so well, we're not doing so well. And to give away what was ours before the guys can produce, they're basically eating off the work that we have done. They haven't produced anything, yet they're collecting $10 a head. What have they done? They've paid off the loan, Tim, but it's the loan that SLASPA was paying off and was doing so comfortably. And who are they paying it off to? They got a loan from the same bank, Tim. And the person who sat down and negotiated with them is the person who sits down to negotiate the loan at the bank as well. And then to see that the person who's now in charge of DSH in St. Lucia is the brother of the person who sat to negotiate the deal and sat to negotiate the loan. Tim, this stinks. This stinks. And in Soufrière, we still don't know what's going to happen. I mean, they said they're going to extend the jetties and work on the waterfront and all that sort of stuff. Promises. Mayo di Saint-Sigoué. The parliamentary representative admitted they had secret dates and they made a secret arrangement. And to date, we don't know what's going to happen in Soufrière with that GPH arrangement. We don't know whether GPH is going to collect what we call the jetty fees in Soufrière. You see, when boats come into Soufrière, pleasure crafts, and boat rides and so forth, when they disembark or embark passengers on the jetties, they pay a fee. That fee goes to the Soufrière Foundation. We don't know whether GPH is going to be collecting that fee or getting a portion of that fee. So there are so many questions in the air that, Tim, I'm forced. It's either our government is a bunch of blundering idiots, which I know they're not, or somebody, Tim, some people are lurking in the dark, and they're not the tradition. They shouldn't be the traditional players. So now we have taken away something where there was accountability in terms of SLASPA. SLASPA, by legislation, is supposed to, table its accounts, its audited accounts every year. We can see what happens in there. So now they've put it into a private company. And the private company is under no obligation to be transparent or accountable to us, Tim. And that, in there, in that dark, is the lurking devil, the demon that is sucking away the money that SLASPA was getting. And that's over $400 million over a 30 to 40 year period in exchange for 47 million US dollars. That's 400 million US, by the way, in exchange for $47 million, Tim, of investment. What is that? That math in Tim, that math in and St. Lucians need to start asking questions. Thank you very much, Tim.
Thank you so much for calling, sir. 452-2979, 452-2979. WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. Good afternoon to you. Amanda, I see you going through some of the comments. Maybe you have an update for us. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, team. Good afternoon, News Spinners. Someone says, Tim, you mean the National Distrust? Because presently they have no credibility to be called a national trust. Someone says, this is tantamount to treason. Another comment, who built the port, and tell me why is it that it's a private company? Another comment, this was a great interview last night, providing some insights into the mind of a legend of a businessman. Hearing that he gave shares to his employees is worthy of a shout out. Kudos. Another comment, Mr. Michael, my sentiment also, but I still find our St. Lucian people and the taxi drivers should have been on the ports demonstrating and stopped the singing and send GPH right back where they came from. Another comment, this GPH deal alone should be enough reason why the SLP should never be re-elected among the scores of other reasons why they should never gain the reins of power in this country again. Another comment, the bulk of the funds which would have gone to the coffers of SLASPA now goes into the coffers of foreign entity accounts. Make that make sense. Someone says, I am tired of hearing the opposition come on air whining about the wrongdoings of kleptocracy, SLP government, when the UWP is not using all the tools available to it and not doing so. And the excuse is that it costs too much to hire a lawyer to fix those problems in courts.
We have a call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You're on the air. Hello?
Tim.
Yes, good afternoon to you, caller.
Tim, I want to join my voice with this GPH discussion and what is going on. Nothing that the Philip J. Pierre administration has done has baffled me more than this GPH arrangement. I mean, the CIP, we can say, okay, the fellas sold the passports. It was never under our control. They collected the money. Not that it makes it right. But here we have a going concern of a port that we have operated for the past 40, 50 years successfully, both in Soufrière and in Castries. And whether we want to add Rodney Bay and Marigot Bay to these, because these are also basic ports of entry, not to the level of what Castries is. Tim, I would want anybody from the Labour Party who can help me to understand how this makes sense. That you increase the head tax from 650 to 1250. And you have given GPH $10 per head. And we keep on saying a $45 million investment. Tim, there is no $45 million investment by GPH, you know. The investment is $27 million. And then they are going to pay another $18 million out of the $22 million that SLASPA was owing. SLASPA was owing $22 million. The Ministry of Finance sat and reviewed the proposal for the government of St. Lucia from GPH. The recommendation was that it was not a good arrangement for the government to go into. It was not beneficial. We are talking about the technocrats at the Ministry of Finance advising the cabinet of ministers that this proposal is not beneficial to St. Lucia. There's nothing to gain from it. Tim, on the 1st of April, All Fools Day, a proposal, the minister Ernest Hillel, and it is not by coincidence that it happened on All Fools Day, the 1st of April. But like Jimmy said, I don't want to believe that the government is so stupid. It is hard for me to believe that Philip J. Pierre-led government, cabinet of ministers, with Stevenson King as Minister of Ports and a former Prime Minister. Tim, what is the what is the reason for giving GPH $10 per head while SLASPA gets $1? Now, Tim, we need to put that in context. It means that for every passenger that comes to St. Lucia, SLASPA will get $1. So think of it, Tim. We were already between the government and SLASPA. They were getting $5. Solid waste was getting $1.50. Now, when you put the $5 that SLASPA, and where solid waste is still a government entity, so you can basically say St. Lucia was benefiting $6.50 from every cruise passenger that came to St. Lucia, regardless of whether the money went to SLASPA or whether it went to solid waste or the government of St. Lucia. Because when solid waste does not have money, it's the taxpayers who have to make up the difference. When SLASPA does not meet its obligations, it is the government of St. Lucia. So really and truly, the government of St. Lucia was making $6.50. Tim, if you can tell me how to make sense of this, that now we are about 800,000 passengers. Call it, let's say you round it off, that over that period of time, we will get to 1 million passengers. That means that for 1 million passengers, you would make $10 million a year. At the 1250, you would make $12.5 million a year. For $27 million worth of investment, we are giving up all of that. So for you to get back to collecting your $650 that we used to get before, you would have to get to 6 million cruise passengers. Now, Tim, do you think in your lifetime, in my lifetime, in Philip J. Pierre's lifetime, in Stevenson King's lifetime, and in Ernest Hillel's lifetime, that St. Lucia will ever get to 6 million cruise passengers a year, when presently we have not even gotten to 1 million yet? So think of it. You, in the next 40 years, if we get to 6 million passengers, is when we would get back to the money we were collecting in 2019. How does that make sense?
Okay,
Anybody can explain.
But Mr. Pierre, the government will tell you that what has happened there is St. Lucia has been spared the burden of taking a loan to upgrade our ports. And also GPH
of what,
and also GPH GPH has the know-how and the experience in terms of managing such facilities.
But GPH has already sold out, Tim. They have sold 66% shares of the company.
Hello? Oh, okay.
And the owners of the company have now turned around and sold the majority shares of the company. So now we don't even know who owns the ports in St. Lucia. Do we know who the new company is? Have we anything been declared? Was there anything in the arrangement that was made that they could not sell to anybody else but revert it to St. Lucia? Nothing like that was covered in the agreement. And even if these fellas got paid a little money on the side, you mean you're going to sell out St. Lucia? You're going to sell out our port. So all these boats we're seeing, I'm just passing by the harbor, Tim. I'm seeing 3 cruise ships there. You know, based on the capacity of the ships that came in January of this year, Tim, at the $10 a head, GPH would make 1.5 million US dollars. That's for the month. While the government of St. Lucia would only make 150,000. Tim, how does that make sense? That is enough. That amounts to more than treason, Tim. What this Labour Party has done. What Philip J. Pierre, and I would love Philip J. Pierre to come on your program or on any program in St. Lucia and explain the rationale. Tell St. Lucians how we are benefiting from this GPH deal. And the benefit is in tangible terms of money. Tell us how we're going to make money. You know what the report says, Tim? That GPH will increase visitor spending by $20 US per person. So when they increase visitor spending, GPH already wants to control Point Seraphine and a number of the other areas that tourists are going to. Tim, there is no benefit in that for us. And I hope St. Lucians will open their eyes and see what is happening. And I believe all the delay with our cargo and people getting the barrels for Christmas was directly associated to GPH joint management of SLASPA of the ports. Tim, St. Lucia needs to open their eyes. And whether you are Labour right or you are Flabo, we have to demand an explanation from Philip J. Pierre and his administration to tell us why they went into that arrangement with GPH. Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling. Former government minister in the previous administration, Mr. Guy Joseph. Still to come, more of your calls and your WhatsApp messages. This is the most monitored talk show in the world.
Get ready for the glitz and glamour of the Miss St. Lucia USA Independence Pageant. Join the Fabulous Five: Danielle Allen, Miss Castry South, Cheyenne Smith, Miss Mikud South, Tyler St. Rose, Miss Babodo, Ari Asa Liwa, Miss Castry Central, and Mikhail Williams, Miss Mikud North. Who will be crowned Miss St. Lucia USA Independence Pageant 2025 on Saturday, February 1st from 6 p.m. at the Medgar Evers College Founders Auditorium, 1650 Bedford Avenue, Brooklyn. Tickets $80 US, VIP $120 US, or call 631-275-0508. This event is sponsored by Power 97.9 FM, Four Roots Entertainment, and the Consulate General of St. Lucia, New York. A magical evening awaits. Miss St. Lucia USA Independence Pageant 2025.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
Lazarus's Funeral Home is here for you. Lazarus's Private Cemetery offers a peaceful resting place for your loved ones. With tranquil settings, visitation, and reflection, we believe in the compassionate care of all our departed loved ones. Lazarus's Private Cemetery, let us help you create a final resting place. Make it special. Make it Lazarus's Funeral Home, your friend in a time of need. Payment plans are available for tombs. Call us in Vidbuta at 452-7491 or in New Dock Road, VA4, 454-6555.
Lucilex Customer Service Office in Castries is now opened for business, but we've moved. We're now located on Daisy Avenue in Sanssouci on the ground floor of the new Carilac building. We're open weekdays from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Check out our online options first. But if you do need to come in to see us, we'll be pleased to serve you with new connections, bill queries, payments, and other service requests. Lucilex Sanssouci office, ground floor of the Carilac building. New location, same great service.
You know that feeling when you have an uncontrollable desire for fried chicken? That's the KFC. A substance that stimulates your senses to identify the aroma of our secret recipe or an extra crispy crunch from any distance. It's invisible to the naked eye, but you can feel it traveling throughout your body, taking control. All so you can enjoy a juicy bite of KFC. Ignite your senses with KFC.
You asked for it and you got it. A quicker way to pay your bills online. It's fast, secure, and easy to use. No registration, no additional fees. Flow is now offering FastPay, an online service that allows you to settle your bills in less than 2 minutes. Need a receipt? FastPay will send it to your email immediately. Use FastPay now for convenience, safety, and efficiency at discoverflow.co/fastpay. Flow is keeping you connected.
Ouais, messieurs, pas jodi moi la ka espérer plein bon glow. Si t'en la pani pressure. Moi ni tongue, moi ni glow, me money pressure. Ou savez ça moi besoin? A pomme. Ça c'est bêtise. Moi ka aller ko Europa. Yo ni toute pomme pour toute condition. Qui pour kay, qui pour business. Yo ni pli mer pour pomme cette ici. Yo ka ranger pomme aussi qui besoin service. Prendre pompe yo c'est Léo. Pompe ça c'est major. Ils bon tout bonnement. Tant si ten moins actuellement. Glo ka fante. Europa ni pompe glo Léo en de couleur neuf, orange et gris. Visitez Europa ambassade Gozile. Les mots au téléphone 452 0763.
Take control of your health at La Clinique de Corps Diagnostic Center of Excellence located in Cocoville, Rodney Bay, Groselet. We offer state-of-the-art diagnostic services including our advanced full-body MRI scans. Did you know cancers affect millions but are curable when detected early? Our full-body MRI is radiation-free, painless, and highly accurate. It detects cancer early, spots hidden illnesses, and uses advanced technology to ensure you get the best care possible. At La Clinique de Corps, we prioritize your health and peace of mind. Our highly skilled team provides personalized care in a comfortable and welcoming environment. Protect your health and secure a healthier tomorrow with our comprehensive diagnostic solutions. Book your full-body MRI today and take the first step towards a healthier future. Call us at 451-6559. Your health is our priority at La Clinique de Corps.
Essie, don't tell me that tire flat again. I just changed that tire.
Wait, what? You just changed that tire?
Well, I bought a used one because you didn't give me enough money.
Oh, I see. Well, you know what? Chivi's Tire Shop only carry brand new quality tires at affordable prices with free installation.
Hey, it seems you're working at Chivi's Tire Shop. How you know all that?
Come on, Brenda. The tire shop down the road from our home in the American Drywall Building.
Oh, yes. I forgot. Well, you know what, Patrick? Let's go there right now. Take your wallet. Let's go.
Chivi's Tire Shop, located at the American Drywall Building, Vic Bouteille. Call or WhatsApp 584-5986. Chivi's Tire Shop. Pay less, drive more.
This is the most monitored talk show in the world, where we continue with your calls and your WhatsApp messages. We have a call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You are on the air. Hello. Okay, let's see there. All right, we'll try again. Yes, good afternoon.
Hi, Tim.
Hi.
Alan Chastanet here. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm okay.
First of all, a iconic figure passed away today. I don't know if you know that, Tim.
Yes, Mr. Fred DeVoe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. What this man did, almost single-handedly for St. Lucia, is remarkable. And most people might remember him more for his business acumen at MNC's and the Home Depot, but I certainly remember him for his initiative in the area of the Fine Arts Awards that was started, and also when his company took up track and field. And it was really remarkable because I think rather than do smaller amounts to a bunch of charities, he really put his effort and his company's effort behind everything that he did. And I think that the success that we've seen in the arts, and certainly track and field from the early days, that he really has to be commended. And I certainly want to express my sympathies to the family, and also to all the persons who work with him and for him. Again, an iconic person that has passed away today. So my sympathies to him. The second thing, Tim, is I really wanted to respond to a question that you asked the former person, my former minister, Guy Joseph, and you asked him the question that the government, or you made a statement that the government would say that in this GPH deal, that the government of St. Lucia is better off because the debt burden would be less, and also that somehow that they had some capacity that we in St. Lucia did not have. And I just want to refute both of those things outright as being categorical lies. The fact is that the loan that SLASPA was paying was being covered by the head tax. So SLASPA wasn't having to get resources from anywhere else. That's the purpose of what the head tax was. And that is why Guy Joseph is 100% right, that the Ministry of Finance, in their analysis of the situation, said, look, if in fact that there's any concerns as to whether in fact SLASPA can cover the loan, then the government should forego its $250 and allow SLASPA to get $5. And with the $5, not only would SLASPA be able to pay the loan of the $18 million, but SLASPA would have also been easy for them to extend the North Wharf, because that's really what we're talking about. Now, when we talk about capacity, the first Caribbean country to have built a dedicated port facility was St. Lucia under Sir John. And that is what Point Seraphin was. That was built by then, in those days, if you remember, NDC. And SLASPA built the dock. And in fact, when we came into government in 2016, there was a plan afoot to do the extension to get the quantum class ships in there at Point Seraphin. And again, that was done by SLASPA, an outside engineering firm, an outside construction firm, but the entire oversight of the project was SLASPA. The building of a vendor's arcade. So when we talk about that you're going to fix up by Bananas, what is it that's going to happen there that St. Lucia companies or government entities have not done previously? Nothing. Now, a caller called in and said that, or a person wrote in and said that the opposition wasn't doing enough. And you know what? As long as this deal stands, then I agree with the person that we've not done enough. We've brought to the attention long ago that this was a bad deal. We now have the evidence that the tax was increased. So if the government of St. Lucia knew that they were prepared to increase the tax from $6.50 to $12.50, it makes it even more egregious what has happened. Because it means it was absolutely unnecessary. Because with $12.50, without a doubt, both SLASPA and the government of St. Lucia could have handled this project easily. And as I've said before, they could have also built the $60 to $70 million dock facility in View Fort with the $12.50, and there would be no debt burden. So 100% right. I think that Jimmy Haynes and now Guy have also said the money now has gone into the hands of a third party that is not under the obligation to tell us how they've spent the money or who they're spending the money to. And so it only begs the question, what is happening and why this deal went down in the first place? The opposition currently has 14 cases with the government of St. Lucia, whether it be with ministers, whether it be judicial reviews, whatever else. In fact, we're about to file another case, hopefully this week, on the CIP project. I have looked at it, and the party has looked at it in terms of what is it we could do. Is it that we should boycott or cause the port to be closed down? And then what goes for the vendors and the taxi drivers who are currently benefiting? Should they be paying the price for what the government has done? And you asked the question, how is it that business communities and associations cannot even opine on what is transpiring, or cannot put pressure on the government to account for what has happened? That $400 million has been given now to a third party outside of the control of the people of St. Lucia. And to make it even more concerning is that this company started off as a public company and then became a private company. And as Guy has indicated, evidence has been sent to us to say that the same private company now have sold their shares to another company. So we know nothing of what is transpiring. And that is the same thing that has happened with CIP, where over $1.8 billion has been given to Galaxy outside of the control of St. Lucia. And how they spend the money, it doesn't matter. You have lawyers in St. Lucia who have earned up to $55 million on administrative fees of the CIP. And once they obtain that money, they can use the money how they want to. And the judicial review case brings into question whether, in fact, the CIP program is legal on the basis of how they've legislated it. And this is something I would have thought that the Bar Association and the same lawyers who are administering those fees would have asked. And if you permit me one more thing here, Tim, because something that is so horrendous happened this weekend. A couple of weeks ago, there was a gentleman from Mon Repos, that's Miku, was involved in a car accident. And as a result of the accident, both his legs were amputated. And he was at OKEU for a couple of weeks. And over this weekend, he was released from OKEU, and on the same evening of him being released, he passed away. What is so alarming to me is that the representative for Mico North is now the Minister for Disabilities. And maybe even more importantly, he himself, before the election, was involved in an accident which resulted in the amputation of one of his legs. And I remember very distinctly being on conversations with the then leader of the opposition, calling me with regards to Jeremiah's condition and the extent that we went to facilitate Jeremiah being able to get to Martinique, arranging a helicopter. Luckily, there was some insurance involved, but we certainly went to every length that we could go to facilitate a quick transition for him to Martinique. And if you remember, he stayed clearly a couple of months in Martinique while he was recovering. And here it is that he would have been through that. And here is a constituent of his who've lost both of his legs. And nobody intervened. And I don't even want to repeat on air why he was released from OKU. I'm hoping that the Millennium Heights staff and administration would be brave enough to explain to the people of St. Lucia why he was sent home. But it is not a pretty picture. It speaks to the lack of empathy. It speaks to the hypocrisy. It speaks to the double standard that exists in this country. And it's particularly painful for me because there are many times in which the Labour Party has accused me of many of those things, despite not having any level of evidence. But I would always want to know that I've always put the health of the people of St. Lucia first. I think we proved that during COVID, and certainly at any time that there was a solution that was in a form of distress, regardless of whether they were Labour or whether they were Flabo, that we would go to the extreme lengths to be able to facilitate those persons. I remember a gentleman who had gotten badly burnt, and we ended up arranging to send him down to Colombia. And that's why the distress fund that people speak of so famously, the distress fund was not called a distress fund. What we did is we used an excessive amount of money that was available to the distress fund. And I remember on 2 years consecutively, the amount of monies that we spent in the distress fund exceeded $8 million, Tim. $8 million in helping people who had health needs. And it was hurtful to all of us when it got to the point where after spending $8 million, we couldn't go anymore. But it just speaks to the dire need for a healthcare insurance program in this country and for an improved healthcare services in this country. And more importantly, a government that has some level of empathy for its people of St. Lucia and show that level of care. So I thank you, Tim.
Yeah, but let me ask you
for the opportunity.
Let me ask you.
Sure.
For example, in the case of the UK, the Keir Starmer administration is under immense pressure now because it is being accused of not hitting the ground running after it won the last general election. It was just not prepared for governance to address many of the issues that are confronting the people of the UK right now as we speak. Healthcare is one of those issues. You having been in government between 2016 and 2021, and now on the sidelines between 2021 and now, how much of a critical importance is healthcare a priority for any incoming administration of the United Workers' Party if it wins the next general election? Because we have been hearing of attempts to implement universal health care and a national health program, etc., national health insurance, sorry. But we have not made the kind of strides that the people of St. Lucia, the world who are watching this broadcast and listening right now, would want to have recorded. So definitely a new administration of the United Workers' Party ought to have realized by now how much of a critical importance it is to implement such a program.
You're 100% right. And certainly going into 2016, we had a very clear plan that we had studied the numbers, and we felt that healthcare insurance was a critical component to stabilizing the quality of healthcare that we had in the country. If you remember, when we got in, they had a naming ceremony for OKEU, but no plans, no financial plans had been made for opening up OKEU. More importantly, the plan that Dr. King speaks of the early 2000s, a national healthcare plan for St. Lucia, basically spoke to the expansion of your healthcare centers. So what's supposed to happen? The most expensive bed in the healthcare service is in the hospital. So what you want to try to do is to minimize people's time in the main hospital. But to do so, it means that you have to have a strengthened secondary healthcare service, your healthcare centers, where people can go in to be prepped to get into to do their surgery. And then after surgery, and they've passed a certain point, they can then be transferred either back home or to the healthcare center itself. So remember, one of the first things we did was to expand and strengthen 14 healthcare centers. And we were in the process of building a couple of more healthcare centers in the rural areas. Parallel to that, you had Victoria Hospital. And Victoria Hospital was costing us $33 million. And what a lot of persons may not have realized is that the way to have afforded OKEU was to have closed down Victoria, so that the $33 million you were spending there could have been now spent in OKEU. And then to make matters even worse, you had a situation in the South. And, the Shanty King report spoke specifically that after the fire, what the intention was. The intention was supposed to have fixed up the old the old St. Jude's hospital temporarily, so we could have moved people from the stadium there, and to have built a brand new hospital, which was supposed to go by the George Odlum Stadium, along with an international hospital. All that was already determined. What we did was, when we came in, we now had to make a decision, because they had already spent $130 million on trying to move into St. Jude's, and they couldn't complete it. And they were not even close to being complete. Don't mind what the Labour Party was telling you, chemical and some paint to be able to move in there. We now know that that's all a lie and was rubbish and was just propaganda on their part. Very disingenuous. They are now proposing to spend over $260 million. But the point was, when we got in, we had to make a decision about that as well. The whole idea of what Millennium Heights was going to be, Tim. So right now, it is what it was intended to be, where all the staff from the Ministry of Health who worked for the hospital would have been transferred to Millennium Heights. Now, when you're making that kind of transition, clearly people have concerns about their pensions, concerns about their pay, all kinds of things, and who their bosses are going to be. And so it's not something that happens overnight. We had basically gone through all of those things, expanded the secondary healthcare centers, made a decision on what we were going to be doing with St. Jude. We realized that we had no operating system, meaning no business, no organizational structure for the staff to move into OKEU. We brought in Cayman Health City to facilitate in the training of those people. In the midst of all of that, then there was the fight with Tapio, who thought that we were going to be privatizing OKEU, and that would be competition to them. All those things had to be negotiated with the unions, with Tapio, and then physically to be able to get the things that were done. And this is why it's very hurtful today to see that after all of that work had been done, and we were on the verge of introducing healthcare insurance, and then COVID came. So it means the money that we had earmarked for that had to go into operationalizing OKEU.
We have just lost the leader of the opposition there. We'll take a break. The broadcast will continue in just a moment with more of your calls and your WhatsApp messages. Who knows, when we come back, we'll continue the conversation, maybe give him another 1 or 2 minutes. This is the most monitored talk show in the world, NewsSpin.
one option when they arrive. Our services will make the dead look alive. With Bouteille and Beaufort accessibility. Remember, we have the only private cemetery. No one can match our prices from coffins to corsage. Personalized service you get when Lazarus takes charge. Quality service, no package to make your wallet bleed. Lazarus is your true friend in your time of need.
Lucilex remote options are available to serve you every weekday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Call or send a WhatsApp message to 285-6796, 285-7859, 285-3593, 285-3329, or 285-8640. Or send an email to customersupport@lucilec.com for assistance. Lucilec encourages you to use the available options for doing business with us remotely.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
Here's a fun fact. In just 29 seconds, you can say goodbye to paper bills forever. Seriously, in 29 seconds. That's less time than this ad. Head over to discoverflow.co or visit us in-store and update your contact information now. By October 1st, your bills will be digital, easy to access, secure, and hassle-free. So what are you waiting for? This ad still has 2 seconds left, and you could have already gone paperless.
You know that feeling when you have an uncontrollable desire for fried chicken? That's the KFC. A substance that stimulates your senses to identify the aroma of our secret recipe or an extra crispy crunch from any distance. It's invisible to the naked eye, but you can feel it traveling throughout your body, taking control. All so you can enjoy a juicy bite of KFC. Ignite your senses with KFC.
It's the Tile Thursday specials. The sale you've been waiting for is finally here, happening this Thursday at the Tile Gallery. Whether you're renovating your kitchen, bathroom, or updating your entire home, don't miss out on the chance to save big on high-quality tiles that will elevate any space. Mark your calendars for Tile Thursday specials, the last Thursday of every month. You can save up to 50% off on selected tiles. Located at M&C Home Depot in Sunville. Hurry in! These amazing deals are in-store only, and supplies are limited, so be sure to grab yours while you can. Remember, Tile Thursday only happens once a month, so don't miss out. Visit the Tile Gallery this Thursday. See in-store for details.
It is well known by all St. Lucian professional tradesmen and even homeowners that European-made tools are the best. Well, guess what? Europa Hardware is having a massive promotion on the Metabo brand of power tools. From impact drills to angle grinders, jigsaws to rotary hammers, sanders and hot air guns. All at unbeatable, jaw-dropping prices. Don't let your tools let you down. Come to Europa and stay standing with a proud in-the-hand tool from Metabo. Call us at 452-0763 or visit us in Masat Grosile. Europa, we service what we sell.
Take control of your health at La Clinique de Corps Diagnostic Center of Excellence located in Cocoville, Rodney Bay, Grosile. We offer state-of-the-art diagnostic services including our advanced full-body MRI scans. Did you know cancers affect millions but are curable when detected early? Our full-body MRI is radiation-free, painless, and highly accurate. It detects cancer early, spots hidden illnesses, and uses advanced technology to ensure you get the best care possible. At La Clinique de Corps, we prioritize your health and peace of mind. Our highly skilled team provides personalized care in a comfortable and welcoming environment. Protect your health and secure a healthier tomorrow with our comprehensive diagnostic solutions. Book your full-body MRI today and take the first step towards a healthier future. Call us at 451-6559. Your health is our priority at La Clinique de Corps.
The Thank you so much for staying with the world's most monitored talk show. WhatsApp message reads, what we are looking at with both CIP and GPH is very bad public policy. If GPH is selling over its shares, that leaves St. Lucia in a state of confusion, not knowing who owns GPH. Doesn't that say something about those in the government of St. Lucia participating in the policy process? Isn't the same true of CIP? No cap on the number of passports that are sold in a given year, no punitive measure when the CIP Act is flouted, and no serious accountability provisions in the Act that allows for random audits. A lot of these things are bad and stupid policies and not necessarily sinister and even corrupt actions. We need better public policy processes, procedures, and formulations. There is significant work to do. Good afternoon to you again, Amanda. Let's see what's happening in the chat room.
A few comments from earlier, Tim. Someone says the opposition has taken this government before the courts many times and won. We the people also need to hold them accountable, not just the UWP and not just Alan Chastanet. Another comment, Guy, all them figures you dishing out there, you must take into consideration that Lucians are not good in English and math. Another comment, I am just baffled at how our people can't seem to react to what is happening in this country. So much information is coming out. I have never seen the UWP so vocal and so prompt in responding to lies, bluffs, propaganda, flashing mirrors, and highlighting the wrongs of SLP. Yet our people are in a comatose state of fear. Another comment, where is GPH investment when all the money is coming from our ports? Someone says, had there been transparency from the genesis of this contract, we would not be in this predicament. The people have a right to know everything that government does in the name of the people, as taxpayers are the ones who directly feel the pressure from those deals. Another comment, elections have consequences and that GPH deal is one of those consequences. The voters are to be blamed for all of this. You get what you pay for. This deal is as short-sighted as the voters. Someone says, Tim, if that was a good arrangement, why are they hiding GPH plans from us? They should be happy to share the deal with us. Someone says here, now the merchants are going to increase the prices because of the tariffs placed on Mexico and Canada. And NewsSpinner says this government is running away from their responsibilities. That's what it is. Another comment reads, right now the opposition told the country enough. It is up to the people to stand up to Philip J. Pierre. Enough is enough. They must go. All our state assets has been sold. Someone says here, it appears that our best lawyers are a sellout. These self-serving lawyers and politicians leave much to be desired. Another comment, Chastanet, please, you spent $25 million paying the Cayman Group for managing OKEU, and don't forget our vaccine money plus the $100 million on the box, all was wasted taxpayers' money.
Thank you so much, Amanda, for that update. A WhatsApp message, I think basically corroborated what the leader of the opposition said earlier on during his contribution. An accident occurred on the Millennium Highway on Monday, the 20th of January. The truck driver of a particular company was trapped and had to be extricated. The very same afternoon, both legs of the driver was amputated and was in CIU for a few days. On Saturday afternoon, the 1st of February, he was discharged from the OKEU. This is just about 12 days after his ordeal. Well, sad to say, about 12:30 a.m. on Sunday, the 2nd of February 2025, he died. Tim, our health system failed that man, his children, family, and the community. He was from Mon Repos. And thank you so much for that WhatsApp message. Let's take a call via the landline. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You're on the air.
Hi, Tim.
Hi, good afternoon to you.
I'd like to know what's going on with the passport office, because I took the day off from work. I came from all the way down south to get a police record, and the place is closed. The passport office itself is partially closed. I don't know what's going on. Where are the officers?
Well, I see somebody is complaining as well via WhatsApp message, and I have not received any statement, any information from the relevant authorities speaking about the passport office and why, particularly the immigration department, is closed at this time. So maybe before we conclude, we might hear from some official from the relevant ministry. That will be, I think, the Ministry of Home Affairs on that.
Okay, thank you, Tim.
All right, thank you so much. 452-2979, your WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. And later in the broadcast, you'll be hearing again from Sir Michael Chastanet. I don't know if we have any more comments in the chat room to go through. Amanda?
Tim, a commenter says healthcare in St. Lucia has never been better. Yes, with a few challenges here and there, but with all of the new services added to our healthcare by this government is unprecedented. And Tim, I'm having some issues with the Wi-Fi connections.
All right, so let's see if we get the call via WhatsApp. Good afternoon to you. This is NewsSpin. You're on the air. Hello. Maybe you go through. Yes.
Good afternoon, my brother.
Good afternoon to you, Patu. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. And good afternoon to Amanda.
Good afternoon, caller.
All my friends out there, my new spinners, have a good afternoon. A blessed one too. Yeah. Team, I will just run that number a bit again because I think I'd make a mistake in the number. Some people trying to call me and there's a little error in that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just try to rectify that, okay?
Okay.
But before I do that, I will make a little contribution. I think I'll go in Creole. Some of the après-midi that nous n'avons pas maladie nous qu'a expériencer à dans pays. L'ani maladie chimée, l'ani maladie crime, l'ani maladie qui malade. Avec toutes ces maladies ça là, c'est on bagay moi-même qu'a expériencer. So moi qu'a dit tout ça pour moi dire qu'on a using it as a foundation to say that when it is 12:30 to 2 o'clock, that is where I am in the doctor office and getting a treatment for all of those things that I talk about. And with all due respect, I am saying to my customers out there, my friends out there, that is not the right time to call me at that moment. You understand? Because I'm in the doctor office and getting my medication from Timothy Poleon, who is the doctor, and NewsSpin is the office. So you call me after 2, it will be highly appreciated. Okay? So I will give that number again. The number is 518-7894. You get me on WhatsApp. And you get me on the straight calls 518. It is 9829. 9829. You can call me on that and we can talk. Everybody out there, all men out there that is suffering from prostate problem, you call me. And I'm saying this once more, I'm not discouraging anyone to go to the doctor. Go to your doctor to find out what you have. If you give you medication and you want to go with the doctor medication, it's all well with me. But if you find that it is not working with you, I am there to support you in a herbal medication, so you can give me a call morning, noon, and night. May you have a blessed and productive day. You take care of yourself, brother Tim. Bye.
Okay, Patu. Goodbye. Thank you so much for calling. 452-2979, WhatsApp calls and messages 716-2026. We have a call on the landline. Hello, good afternoon to you. You are on the air.
Timothy, a pleasant good afternoon to you and your listeners all over the world. PW on the line, Timothy. Timothy, it is a sad and dark day in the history of St. Lucia. Just listening to Michael Chastanet. And I share the same sentiments with him, Timothy. And as you know, with an emerging multipolar world, all countries in the world are trying to hold on to their human resources, mineral resources, Timothy. I consider Port Castries and also the air and seaports. Both of them, I consider them as our mineral resources, not even our human resources, Timothy. You know, I am saying this because every government now is trying to lease, and the lease turns to a giveaway. That's what it is. That's not a lease agreement. That is a giving away our air and seaports. You know, and Mr. Guy Joseph said he wondered whether the Philip J. Pierre administration, you know, is surrounded with people that doesn't have the brains, you understand, to make decisions. You know, I'd like to say to Mr. Guy Joseph, it's not the brains. They do have the brains, but somebody may have benefited from that deal, Timothy. Somebody may have benefited from that deal. Timothy, I once owned a company they call the Eastern Caribbean Tech Services. I had a work staff of 110 staff. If you have never heard this before, you can research me, Timothy. 110 staff. And I was with an agreement, I was in an agreement with a Canadian company, Timothy. And after 8 to 9 months, the company that I was in agreement with, I did sign the contract with and had shares in my company, Timothy. They sold out in Canada to another company. Now, just listening to what is going on there, Timothy, this is a recipe for disaster. When GPH comes in or companies comes in, they buy, they convince the government to buy into the resources, to own shares in the resources, you know, for their company. What they do after the government is convince, Timothy. They go out there and they're vulture companies that they sell their shares to. This is exactly what is going on the international scene. And you have all the people in government, Timothy, with the PhD, LLB, LLM, OMB, BVC, you know, all these behind their qualifications cannot read the warning signs. This is what happens, Timothy. Some politician must have benefited from that. And when I look at this, Timothy, you know, we need an overall of governance in this country. If you want to call it a purge, you can call it a purge. From ministers to civils, they are the facilitators. You understand? Some of them, not all, but they're the facilitators, some of them. They know that the deal the government is getting into, the lease agreement, this lease agreement will not work. I knew it from $6 to $12. Are you for real, Timothy? The government didn't know that would have happened. How would they? Well, Philip J. Pierre came, was elected on for as a government of accountability to stamp out corruption. How would we know the amount of revenue that these companies generate at our ports and seaports? It is easy to manipulate figures when we are not in charge, especially with the cadre of civil servants that we have there. You understand? How would we know? It's very easy to do that, you know. I mean, we have a long way. I'm not the smartest in this country to know that. They know that. But because they benefit, they turn a blind eye to what is happening in this country. As Michael Chastanet said, you know, there's so many business people, influential people in this country, and they sit around and they watch things happening around them, and they see nothing. Timothy, solutions need to wake up and protect their interests, and they need to protect their interests to the best of their ability. Timothy, I thank you.
Thank you so much for calling, sir. Let me turn my attention. Just a moment, we'll be hearing from Sir Michael Chastanet. But first, our NewsSpin news of the day. And the NewsSpin news of the day reads, researchers have developed a road surface that heals when it cracks, preventing potholes without a need for human intervention. And that's according to news from the UK. Researchers have developed a road surface that heals when it cracks, preventing potholes without a need for human intervention. The NewsSpin news of the day. Our attention now is turned to the NewsSpin question of the day. Why is the St. Lucia government silent on plans to receive U.S. deportees? Why is the St. Lucia government silent on plans to receive U.S. deportees? Our NewsSpin question of the day. And let me turn my attention now to our final feature, featuring again part of the interview conducted last evening on DBS television by Jacinta Anius-Lee with well-known St. Lucian businessman Sir Michael Chastanet.
I know you're the 9th of 10 children, so that's a very large family. So let's start with you as a child.
To begin with, we were all born at the same building, which is 29 Brazil Street in Castries. All of us were born there. And I was number 9, so there were quite a few of my siblings that could actually act as a parent to me as my family, as my dad and mom got older. Fast track, my father was a civil servant. He retired at age 60, and my mom, who was a bit of a pioneer, forced him into a small business to buy a ferry owned by her father. He knew nothing about it. He wasn't really a businessman. My father was a technocrat. Life went along, and that business became quite interesting as a young guy growing up with my dad and my family. But because I was the youngest, most of them, or quite a few of them, had already left St. Lucia to go and study. So the household had decreased in numbers. As the years went by, things got a little difficult for my parents. So my mother took a second step during World War II, when she became very desperate financially. She woke up one morning and she said, I have to go into a business. I want to open a bakery. She picked up herself, went into Castries, and she met the owner of Clark & Company, Mr. Robert Clark, who was a personal friend of my father's. And she said to him, Robert, I'm tight. I need help. Her name was Iris. She said, what can I do for you? He said, I need a small loan. He said, go into the till, take whatever you want, and open your bakery. She found $75 EC, on which she opened a bakery with. She started with 1 baker and 1 bag of flour. That's during the war. Fortunately, my father, to supplement his income, took a side job at Meville & Chastanet in charge of their hardware and their grocery. When the British Army came into St. Lucia, the first place they went to was Meville & Chastanet to open an account to supply, because they had over 1,000 soldiers based there. And they wanted 750 pounds of bread a day. There were no bakeries. So my father asked the owner of MNC, could he sell that project, the bread business? And they said, no problem. My mother got the business. She struggled for years before that, but that enhanced the business. How did she struggle? In the days when Roseau and Cul-de-sac, there were sugarcane, there were people, vendors, who would come to our home at 4 o'clock in the morning to buy bread, a basket of bread and fish cakes, and walk from Castries to Cul-de-sac and Roseau on their head. These were her customers when she started. It was tight, but when she got the business from the army, it enhanced the business. With that, she encouraged my father to stick to the little ferry he bought because he was struggling a lot. And with the little extra cash she made, she helped him along. As a young guy, I saw all of that before my eyes. I saw what it is to have difficult times, how to ride the storm, and you couldn't put a price on that. My eldest brother, before he left, he took me to St. Mary's College when I was the age of 10. He took me to school for the first day, he walked me to the school, and he left the next day, and I never saw him again because he couldn't afford. He was working, studying, and working. And I had the whole attention of my mother and father in their little businesses. I couldn't but help because both businesses were located at the premises. There was a cul-de-sac next to our home, which is at the back of the river there. And this is where all the action took place. In my mother's bakery, those days, you used wood to burn in the ovens. They would bring the wood in logs, and every day a guy came and sliced it, and they put it in to bake the bread. And it was a very telling story. My mother sold the bread herself. She used to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, rain, thunder, or lightning. She would put a towel over her head. There was a space between her to go and sell the bread. The bakers would start baking the bread at around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It had to rise and all that kind of thing and put it in. So people wanted their hot bread from early. So from between 3 and 7, that's when her sales were. Many a time, they were not professionals, but they were good guys. When you're baking, especially when you're producing 750 pounds of bread a day, that you have to mix a lot of flour and water. And sometimes they would put too much water, and around midnight, you would hear a voice say, "Madam, I drown." That meant they put too much water in the flour. She would have to get up to open the storeroom to give them more flour. And she would say to them, "Why don't you all learn?"
You just heard there from Sir Michael Chastanet in that interview with Jacinta Annius-Lee. The full interview is on the DBS television website. I think it's now attracted some 80,000 views. 80,000 views between last evening and just moments ago. That's the broadcast. Thank you so much for watching and listening to another edition of the world's most monitored talk show, and that is NewsSpin. Please join us same time tomorrow afternoon at 12:30 for another program. Goodbye.